guys, and welcome back to my channel. I hope you all had a very happy 4th of July. We went over to Derek's parents' house and swam in their pool and ate gumbo and fish, and it was just a lot of fun. For today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you all my Emery's birth story. I know she is 2 years old, but it's still something I would really like to share on my channel. Having her was literally the best day of my life. I did have her in the hospital without an epidural. I planned it that way, and I watched a ton of different videos and labor and delivery vlogs and birth stories and tips and all of that right before I went into labor with her. So as well as her birth story, I'm also going to be sharing my tips on how to have an epidural-free birth if that's what you choose to do. I do want to start off by saying in no way am I trying to tell you to have your babies this way. There is nothing wrong with epidurals, and if that's the way you want to go for it. If you don't, stay tuned and I'll try to make it a little bit easier for you just by sharing my experience. Okay, so my due date with Emery was May 28th. So my doctor knew that I did not want to induce if possible. I did not want to plan her birthday. I wanted to go into labor naturally just because I've heard that Pitocin can make labor 10 times worse. So since I wanted to do it without an epidural, I just knew that if I got the Pitocin, it would make labor worse and I would be more likely to get an epidural, which is something that I didn't want. So I didn't want to induce, but my doctor wanted me to go ahead and schedule an induction just to have it on the books, she said. So that's what we did. So it was Friday, I'm due May 28th. It was Friday, June 2nd, Thursday, June 2nd. Okay, so I was scheduled, I think, to go in Monday night to start the induction process, but this is Thursday night. I'm doing my usual. I was, like I've said before, I was a miserable pregnant girl, so I was doing my usual, just like a beached whale in the bed, watching probably labor and delivery vlogs, just, everything baby related. That's what I was doing. So Derek was actually in the living room because at this point I had kicked him out of our bed. Derek was actually in the living room, I think playing a video game or something, and I'm in our bedroom in the bed, and I'm just laying there and I'm feeling like some pains, and I keep like thinking TMI that I have to go to the bathroom, so I keep trying to go to the bathroom, and then I'm like, okay, maybe this is like just gas pains because, one second. So I'm like, okay, maybe this is just like gas pains because before this, I had had no Braxton Hicks. I had had no signs of any labor, nothing. So I didn't know what labor felt like, and these pains were like in my lower back. And like I said, it just felt like gas pains. So as they go on, and I'm laying there and I'm like, okay, maybe this isn't gas pains. I remember I came in and I told Derek, and for some reason, he just got like the nervous munchies, I guess, and he's like chowing down on some Skittles. And he actually like got like a crown on one of his teeth came out or something, like while I'm in labor, and so he's having to deal with like his tooth while I'm trying to figure out if I'm in labor or not. And so that was just funny that he's like chowing down on Skittles while we're trying to figure out if I'm in labor. But we like called my doctor, and we do live about a little under an hour away from the hospital where we were going to give birth. So a lot of people do tell you to labor at home as long as possible, but we knew we weren't going to do that. We were going to go ahead and go to the hospital because we do live so far away. So we decided to go on in, and by the way, I'm still getting over pneumonia. having pneumonia, so if I have to cough or anything, I'm sorry. I'll try to edit as much of that out because no one wants to hear a bunch of coughing. Okay, so we get in the car. For some reason, we don't have gas, which I can't believe because I was like crazy prepared. Like I would unload and load the dishwasher every single night so that the house was in like spick and span shape in case I was to go in labor. So I can't believe we didn't already have a full tank of gas in the car, but we didn't. So we went and got gas and, you know, called our parents and we were like, okay, listen, we don't know if this is the real deal or not. So don't like rush to the hospital, because I was convinced that they were gonna send me home. I guess I had watched so many videos where people think they're in labor and they're really not, and they send them home to like go for walks and stuff. So I was like, this is it. I mean, I was 40 weeks and 5 days pregnant, so I don't know why I thought that, but I really thought they were gonna send me home from the hospital. So we drive to the hospital, we get there, oh no, wait. So we drive to the hospital and I'm like, okay, I have to get something to eat. You know, this is one of the things that I've learned. So tip number 1, this is what happened to me. We pull up through Chick-fil-A drive-thru, which is like, it's right by the hospital, but they weren't open yet. And I remember it was like not long until they were gonna open, but I was so impatient and just wanted to go ahead to the hospital. Keep in mind, I thought they were going to send me home. So I was like, you know what, let's just forget breakfast. This isn't the real deal anyway. We'll come eat after they discharge me and tell me to go home. Well, so we didn't get Chick-fil-A. We go to the hospital and get checked in and everything. And I'm like, so I'm gonna be staying? And she's like, oh yeah, because you're 40 weeks and 5 days pregnant. So if we're gonna get the ball rolling, basically. So I was like, I didn't get breakfast. You know, big old pregnant girl. I didn't get breakfast. Can I eat this morning? And they were like, no, you're not gonna be eating. So I was in labor from about 5 a.m. we'll say, and I had Emery at 5 p.m. So a full 12 hours in labor at the hospital, no food. I will say it sucks not being able to eat, but I forgot about being hungry. So tip number 1 is go eat, but if you don't get to, don't freak out. You're gonna be okay. And the meal you get after you have your baby is phenomenal. I had a cheeseburger. Okay, so we are now checked in the hospital room, and this is just where it all goes down. I gave birth in the room that we checked into, and so I never had to like go to a birthing room. I know some hospitals you have to do that. And my labor and delivery nurse was just phenomenal. Like, she was so sweet. She made me feel so comfortable. She knew that I didn't want any kind of intervention like epidurals or anything like that. So she didn't push for it, but she also didn't really have any knowledge of how to help me otherwise. She would do anything for me. Like if I asked for anything, she would try to get it for me, but she didn't have tips on helping me labor naturally. So I requested just Derek in the room, and for the most part he was. I did like his sister and my mom, and honestly I don't even remember who else, but would come in occasionally just for a minute just to say hey, and then they would leave during the labor. But so my next tip, and probably the biggest tip that I want you guys to take out of this, is to hire help. Hire somebody, I think hire a doula. So, you know, I had watched all these videos and read all these books, but we didn't take any sort of natural birthing class, which I think would have been helpful. I just kind of relied on Derek and his skill set as being a nurse, and just him as a person. He's really good at everything he does, and he's really good at taking care of me. So I was like, we're gonna be fine. We've got this. We can go into this delivery by ourselves and we'll be fine. Well, we were fine, but 12 hours of labor, and I had back labor. Derek got so exhausted, and we had been up all night. So we had been up all night, didn't have any breakfast. He didn't either. And then 12 hours of labor. So it was just a lot on him. He like rubbed my back the whole 12 hours for my back labor. He was just the only person I would allow to be there for me. So I think I put a lot of stress on him, and he had to not only like help me in every way, but like no one was there to help him. So next time he says no, but I say definitely we're gonna hire a doula just so she can kind of, you know, Derek can go take a little break and she can be rubbing my back, or, you know, she could be showing us different techniques to be doing. Okay, so we are laboring for 12 hours. Like, I'm just like, I wasn't connected to anything. My IV wasn't, so I was free to walk around the room, do whatever I wanted. So I just remember it was just so bad. Like, in my back was just so bad. And Derek just rubbed it constantly. So definitely research different massages and stuff. Okay, so we're laboring, everything's going fine, but towards the end, and this is another tip, I suggest that you learn the different stages of labor, because when it feels the worst, you're like almost done, like you're almost there and you can make it through, but you're not going to feel like you can. So learn the different stages of labor and what you're going to feel like and how long those stages are, because I'm telling you, the worst stage is the quickest and it means you're almost there. And that's when I got the scaredest. So we're in this stage. I need to research what the different stages are. I don't remember, but so it's towards the end. I wish Derek was here with me because he remembers a lot more, and I'll tell you why I don't feel like I remember a lot more. So I'm very scared at this point. We've been laboring for a really long time. I don't remember how many centimeters dilated I was, but I remember the nurse, I think she just felt really bad for me, and she saw how scared I was getting and suggested that I have the pain medication Eubanks, and I knew nothing about that. I was a laboring woman in pain and terrified, and so I agreed to it, but looking back, it wasn't worth it. So definitely learn the different pain medications other than an epidural that they're going to offer you, because when you're in that weak spot, it is easy to say yes. And the reason I regret the Eubanks, so I was in a lot of pain, obviously, and all the Eubanks did was kind of make me relax just a little bit. And it kind of, I remember telling my sister-in-law that it felt like how I feel when I just have had one glass of wine, just a little bit relaxed, but the edge is not completely off, and definitely you could still feel pain. So it wasn't worth it in that aspect, because it didn't take away any of my pain. And afterwards, I had a hard time figuring out why I couldn't remember things about the birth, because I talked to Derek about it. You know, afterwards we're like talking about the birth and telling everybody about it, and he remembered so much that I like did not remember, like her actual birth, like when she came out, I just don't remember. And so I looked it up, and that is a huge side effect for the Eubanks, is loss of memory. And that's just heartbreaking to me, because I wanted to be very present in there, and that's one of the reasons why I didn't want pain medication. And so in my weak spot, I told the nurse yes that I wanted it. It really didn't do much for the pain, and then I feel like I lost a lot of my memory because of it. Now, it might be because of the Eubanks, or it might be because my body has just blocked that out of my life so that I'll have more children. I don't know. Maybe that's just a natural response to when you go through that amount of pain, is you just kind of forget about it. But like I really have a lot of memory loss around Emery's birth, and that makes me really sad. So I definitely recommend researching all the different pain management options or things that they might try to give you other than an epidural in the hospital, so that you're prepared to say yes or no. Research the different side effects and see if that's something you're okay with, yada, yada, yada. So fast forward, got the Eubanks. They couldn't give it to me too close to when I would have Emery. I don't remember why. Something about, you know, I couldn't have it towards the very end. So we couldn't have been at the very end yet. So I get that. That's cool. Wears off within like 30 minutes or so, maybe an hour. I don't know. So pretty much worthless. Everybody's out of the room now. It's just Derek and I remember progressing really fast, and it's just me and Derek in there, and I'm like ready to have a baby. Like I'm a quiet person, and don't make a lot of yells or things of that nature, but I was moaning like literally like a demon was coming out of me. I just remember being so embarrassed for anyone that was in the room next door, but I like could not keep myself from making these demonic sounds. That's just, my body was like having a baby. So it's me and Derek in there, and I'm making these sounds, and I'm sure he was like petrified. And so I don't even know what happened. Like, I honestly don't remember, but I just remember a bunch of people coming in, and they're like setting stuff up and getting things ready. And I had kept all of my family out of there because I wanted it to be very intimate and just me and Derek. And then I remember all this staff coming in, and I remember hating the fact that so many people were in there. And like, I'm private, and like I'm about there laying me down and making me have a baby with my legs spread eagle, and all these people are in there. So next time I'll definitely limit the amount of workers I want in there because I didn't think it was necessary. So I was making those demonic sounds, and like I said, I don't think I was quite ready to push, because you'll hear a lot of women who have babies without epidurals. They'll say they just get this overwhelming, cars passing. They just get this overwhelming feeling to push, and I was just kind of waiting for that, but I never got it. So I don't know. I mean, I was 10 centimeters dilated. Obviously, my water had broken on its own and all of that, but I don't know if just because of the sounds I was making or whatnot, but I don't think I was quite ready to push because I never got the urge to. But they had me lay back. They ended up having to throw oxygen on me because I don't know, something with Emery. Something was going on with Emery, and I just remember saying, I don't want to wear this because, you know, I'm free spirit having this baby with nothing. I don't want oxygen, but I remember them saying, it's for the baby. So I was like, okay. So they had to put oxygen on me, which Derek actually hooked up, which was hilarious. Like, they said I needed oxygen, and he's over there because we actually gave birth at the hospital he worked at the time. So he's very familiar with where all the equipment is and stuff. So he like hooks up my oxygen, throws it on, and the nurses are just like, okay. But then I remember the doctor's making me push, and I had to do the whole like counting and pushing and all of that. And that's just not really what I wanted. I wanted the very natural, let my body kind of have the baby. And this is when I think it would have been nice to have a doula. One of the times it would have been nice to have a doula, because she could have kind of been my advocate for that, and not told the doctor like, no, this isn't how we really want to do it. She doesn't want to have the baby. I didn't want to have the baby laying on my back because I know it's not the best way for a baby to come out. Like, think about it. You can't push anything out laying on your back. Like, you are always in a squatting position. So I was hoping to have the baby not on my back. I didn't want to do the counting and pushing thing. And so because I think I got in that position, was kind of aggravated about it, wasn't ready to, my body wasn't ready to push. I tore pretty badly. So I was really excited about having a natural birth because there isn't much recovery. Like, you don't have to recover from having the epidural or anything like that. So Emery's waking up. I'm like looking down at the baby monitor. So that was one of the perks for not having an epidural, was I was really excited to just be able to hop out of bed after I had my baby, or that's what was in my mind. And because I tore so badly because of the reasons I just said, I didn't have that recovery that I wanted. So all of that was a tip in itself, just kind of stand your ground and know what you want, and try to stick to that. So she's born finally. I don't remember me really having to push for that long. This part is like really fuzzy to me. Like I just don't remember much of anything at this point. But I remember she came out, and they were like freaking out about how big she was. And they wanted to like weigh her right away. I remember that. But Derek says she got to do skin to skin with me for a long time. But in my mind, they just like whisked her away to be weighed, but maybe they didn't. And I remember having to lay there and get stitched up down there because I tore so badly. And that was the worst part. And then like, I didn't have any pain medicine. So she had to like put some lidocaine up in there, and it was just not a good situation. I was so uncomfortable. I hated just like laying there with all these people, and I'm just laying there trying to have this intimate moment with my baby and getting like stitched up and whatnot, and it was just not pleasant. I really hated that part. But anyway, so we do skin to skin. Oh no, and then you have to birth the placenta. Nobody tells you about this part. I knew because I had done a lot of research, but you have to birth the placenta. And it doesn't feel good. It hurts, and they have to like push your belly, whatever. And then I asked to see the placenta because I'm like this birth freak who is fascinated by birth, and I remember they wouldn't show me. So that kind of aggravated me a little bit. Like I deserve to see my own placenta if I want to see it. But I didn't get to see it. And so Emery's out and everything's good, and they bring the scale in the room because they were in such a hurry to weigh her because she looked so big to them. And she was 9 pounds, 10.5 ounces. I think she was 21 inches long. So she's a big girl, and had her without an epidural, so it makes me very proud. And I remember breastfeeding, it went very well. So after she was born, everything was like a dream. And I got a big juicy cheeseburger, and I remember our family like kind of being bummed because apparently we were in the room for a really long time after she was born, and like, because I think it was like an hour of skin to skin, but I literally feel like we were in there for 5 minutes. But Derek says it was a while before we let family come in because I just really wanted that time with her. But yeah, that is the story of Emery and having a epidural-free birth. There's a lot of things that I want to change for the next birth. I will definitely hire a doula. I will definitely know what I want a little bit more and know what I don't want. But yeah, that is the story of the best day of my life, even though it doesn't sound like it was the best day of my life. Looking back, like, there is no happiness than the first second you meet your baby. Like, and I remember Derek and I were just so in awe of her, and we were just so proud and so happy. And you wait and wait and wait so many months to have this baby, and then they finally come out, and it's wonderful. So no matter how you get your babies into this world, it doesn't matter, epidural, no epidural, it's still literally like the best day ever. So that's gonna be all for today's video. I hope it's not too lengthy and all over the place, but I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I have lots of videos planned that I wanna do. So stay tuned for more. Thank you all so much for watching. Bye.